commission workshop on the strategic business plan. And on the regular session order, are we ready to do that, Patty?
Yeah.
At 5:02 on May 19th. And first thing we have, are there any modifications or additions to the agenda?
Yes, staff does have a couple of items.
Okay.
You'll notice on the agenda that we did approve negotiations with Flying Academy.
Yep.
For potential FBO lease and operating agreement at the airport. That work was completed just on Monday, so that's been added. You should have an additional packet in front of you, and that's also been posted to our website. The other thing too that I wanted to add is that even though we're having an executive session after this meeting, we should talk about the evaluation and interview committee for the RFDI for East and West Marina site.
Okay.
And so I would like to add 6B, just a discussion item on who wants to be on that interview committee.
Okay, so added.
And then just the last item on the consent agenda, and I don't know if I'm stealing Catherine's thunder, but on page 106 of your packet, I'm altering this recommendation to amended to match reimbursement rates with the IRS rates. And so
Okay.
I don't mean to, that was kind of your intent, is you want to kind of give background on what you.
Well, I'd actually like to pull 3 items from the consent agenda.
Perfect. Yeah, that might take you easier. That's
Number C, letter C, E.
So yeah, all right. Yeah, let's actually discuss those. I get to keep my shirt, so forgot to collect it.
Joke's on.
You're it now.
And I know.
Yeah.
All right, great. Okay. Is there anyone here signed up for public comment? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as modified.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? I would just like to state for the record that due to a potential conflict of interest, there is an item regarding an FBO lease and operating agreement at the airport. And because I offer flight instruction at the airport, I've had nothing to do with that process of scoring and selection. And with that stated, please vote.
Aye.
Aye. All right, let's move to. You want to go ahead and just do the consent agenda item right now, instead of waiting for action items, which aren't really on here. So yeah, let's just do it. Item C, approve resolution 2025-26-24, updating marina rules and regulations.
Thank you. Staff, I do apologize. I had an email going out to Kevin, but on my flight here, it was in the outbox and I could not get sent. So I apologize for not saying my questions before. And to my other commissioners, I'm not going to go through the multiple things that I normally ask. I'm just going to ask a couple. And if I follow up, I might bring them up. But for the marina regulations, Daryl, this was a harder read for me just because of all the red and stuff. So what are your concerns about where are we potentially at risk? Are there any concerns with what you proposed here?
No, we're just tightening things up. It just really had to do with for staff to be able to enforce policy. The things that we tightened up were the subleasing. There's really no benefit to the port at all, only the tenants. And a lot of it was in response to the wait list not turning and people hanging on to their slips. And following best practices for most marinas. So we tried to make it work, but it really didn't. from the port's point of view. There was really no benefit to the port, and it wasn't helping the wait list. And so tightening that one up. And then the other areas, just tightening up like the guest dock, the use of the commercial dock, that sort of thing. I did a lot of research on that, and Megan was a lot of that too. I'm speaking for her because her voice is
Yeah.
yeah, just have your voice, but chime in anywhere you feel like Megan. But mostly just tightening up policy things and making it easier for staff to enforce, and sticking with best practices for most marinas.
And I appreciated the things I noticed were the insurance requirements was going to be based on the master fee schedule, so we wouldn't necessarily have to meet again if we had to change our insurance due to our own insurance policy going up. So I appreciate that freedom. But how is the plan if we have any insurance issues or changes? I just don't want an owner of a slip to be found out of compliance. How are we ensuring that any changes on our end are communicated to them?
It's in their annual lease agreements. We did fit into that, and that was the other thing we did too, is went through this whole document and scrubbed it to tie it to the fee schedule. And just until last year, we had not done that. So now everything points, if there's a monetary line item, it all points to the fee schedule, so that you don't have to go back and do this document over and over again. So really did a big cleanup.
Yeah, I'll also add that we added an environmental compliance section. Apologies for my voice, but we added an environmental compliance section as well. That, as Daryl mentioned, was really based on different marina best practices and different elements, frankly, that are in the moorage agreement, but just codifying them here too in the rules and regulations.
A lot of the things that are listed in part of that, we worked with the Oregon State Marine Board Clean Marina Program, and they're very involved working with the Department of State Lands for the derelict vessels. So a lot of the language in there can help stay in front of that whole problem. Recommendations from them.
I like how that ties into the port vision of striving for outstanding environmental stewardship. So that's great. Any other questions about that? Can I get a motion then?
I motion to accept the updated marina rules, regulations, requirements, and fees as presented.
I second.
Okay, votes?
Yeah,
Aye.
Okay, next up, the item number E of the consent agenda, approve Oregon Energy Trust agreements for airport terminal building. On page 71. 90.
Yeah.
Okay, 91.
So is this a? That's my question.
It's your show.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Is this more questions for Jeff or for you?
I think we can tag team it, but yeah, what if it's contracting?
Can you just give us just a little bit more background? Just 'cause I know this is a community, a lot of questions, at least in my life, about this. I'm sure in your life also it's about this. So can you just remind us, big picture?
Sure.
I did read this, but I just would love that to
Get
hear
it out
that.
in public.
Yep, that'd be
Sure.
great.
Yep. So the purpose of this basically $40,000 contract is to really study ways to make the new airport terminal building sustainable and resilient for the future. And those are real catchy words, but what that means is that it would be looking at mini grids of solar panels and battery systems and generators, so that if there is another winter storm event or any kind of an event that causes the power to shut down here in Hood River County, that airport facility can serve as a backup emergency operations center for the county. And so the purpose of this scope is to really bring in experts in the field to come and study the design that SUM has put together, Eric Kaufman, because he's not an expert in these types of this type of equipment, and work with our designers to make sure that the equipment that's being installed on the building is done comprehensively and that there's actually going to be benefits to the airport.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do we incur any risks or lose anything by waiting to find out about our EDA grant before we make a decision on this contract?
No, I don't think so, because I think that the work, if let's say the EDA grant doesn't come in.
Yeah.
Assuming that 30% design is still of interest in the future, then this report could simply be an exhibit to those 30% designs. So it would carry on, and then if there's another funding opportunity, we'll actually be way ahead.
You've also pointed out that this could potentially be of use for other structures in the airport.
It could, they would be looking potentially at doing something at the tree hangers and also just on the ground.
So the question for the commission then is, because there is some risk associated. There is, it's a choice. Do you want to spend $40,000 right now, even though that building, it's not a sure thing, it's not a done deal? Or would you prefer to wait until we have more information?
Well, if I could just jump in.
Yeah, I mean, advocate for what you think is
Yeah,
best.
so
for
the
sure.
grant will cover 75%.
I'm aware.
So even though there's a $40,000 contract, we'd be out of pocket net about 10,000, a little less than 10,000.
But assuming that all happens. Yeah.
And my recommendation is not to sign the contract with Mayfield unless the grant is approved,
So this is
contingent.
authorization for you to move forward if and when.
Correct.
Okay, I feel much better about that. That's my question.
How did we find Mayfield?
So we did 3 informal quotes and based on quals and price. And the Energy Trust actually reviewed the proposals with me.
Okay, so there was like a committee process like we did before.
It was basically, yeah, it was basically me and the Energy Trust, because a lot of this stuff is very technical in nature,
Great.
and would be, hard pressed to find just people loosely related to the port to participate.
So appropriate reviewers reviewed these contracts and the selection committee decided with you involved that this was the best one.
Yeah, the Energy Trust has been awesome.
Yep.
They reviewed all the proposals. They're familiar with all the companies, even though Mayfield was the lowest bidder. They have had a really great track record with Mayfield.
I'm okay with moving forward on it, because if we stall, we all know what prices do. But the only thing that I get a little bit concerned about is if we stall, we also know what technology does. And so by holding out, what would that look like if there's new technologies that come about?
Sure.
So I guess it's all moot if we don't get the grant. So
Right, and I think on that, we're part of the feasibility study. It'll be looking at the loads on the building. So there will be kind of an analysis done on what the expected electrical loads will be for this building. And so yes, you're absolutely right. Some of the panels and the batteries and generators could definitely become more efficient, but those loads that will typically take place in that building should carry on.
Okay. Is there any community involvement in this at all, or that's outside the scope, correct? It's not good. Is there any community concern?
There's a discovery, there's a workshop is one of the first deliverables, but it's primarily for the airport users. What are you thinking on that?
I'm just trying to ask questions that I get asked about and just heard community involvement and transparency. And so I'm just trying to make sure that we're implementing feedback. I think this might be putting the cart before the horse a little bit. That's me personally.
Yeah, the other thing that I think would be beneficial is that there is a CREP grant that is coming out later this summer. And that's all tied into just under $1 million worth of equipment that would be installed to make this a possibility. Mayfield would be able to assist in developing the language for that grant application.
Is that part of this still?
It is.
Okay.
Because
This is
we'd have the
exciting.
details.
Right.
So, and then the last question I have, not that I would expect the county to provide funding for this portion of it, but I'm assuming you've been in contact with them and they are eager and.
I haven't talked to the county per se, but I have talked to Oregon Business.
Okay, Oregon Business, okay.
One of the things I was gonna mention in my ED report is that we just signed a $50,000 grant with the state to offset the strategic business plan. Literally that same day, they bumped the grant to the 75,000.
Oh, okay.
So it did come eventually.
Okay, so I don't have to adjust the budget.
No, but I did say, hey, because we just missed the 25,000, can you throw $10,000? They've been a very long process, but we are looking for ways to close that gap.
Okay. If there are no further questions,
I would make a motion to authorize the executive director to execute the necessary agreements and related documents associated with the Energy Trust of Oregon Project Development Assistance Funding request and contingent upon funding approval. Execute a personal services contract with Bayfield Renewables in an amount not to exceed 49,000 plus approved reimbursable expenses for renewable energy and resilience feasibility services associated with Ken Jensen Airfield Terminal Project. I should have just.
It's fine.
But I started reading it and then I was stuck reading it, so I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Discussion?
I'll second.
okay, second
Okay.
discussion.
Discussion
Yeah.
is, do we need to make this contingent upon funding approval more explicit as into?
You can make, she did say contingent upon funding approval.
But what funding approval? Contingent upon?
The Energy Trust. The Energy Trust of Oregon Project Development Assistance Funding. But if you want to, you can modify the motion however you think is, can clarify that.
I understand what we're saying, but I'm just making sure, I just want to make sure it's as yes. Apologize for the question. Never mind.
No,
Second.
apologize for the question.
Second is
Okay, votes?
Say aye.
aye.
Aye. Okay,
Great,
and
thank you.
the final item was approving task order 15 with HDR for construction management services on page 105.
So my questions for the reason pulling this was mostly related to what our executive discussed, but I'm hoping. What is this contract related to and how long is this contract for?
So let's see, the contract itself, I believe it goes through the end of December is the term of the contract, and it's really to manage the miscellaneous steel repair and spot painting contract. So we don't have anybody on contract that can manage the contractors once they're here. And so this contract is to manage whoever is the low bid, it'll be an IT invitation to bid. And then HDR with this contract would manage that work, make sure the means and practices are being met, have the weekly tailgate meetings, make sure, respond to information requests, those types of things.
Be the owner's rep.
And that's the reason for all the travel and
Exactly. Yeah.
because the crew is coming from where?
Portland.
So my question is, I guess, why are they not just drive, if we're paying per diem
Mhm.
and we pay miles, why are we also paying for hotel?
So some of that work will occur overnight and will occur to the extent that it will last into hours that could be unsafe to go back and forth in a 1-day span. And then a lot of the task order 15 work is very in-depth in the process of painting sections and how that's going to deal with containment and length of time for safety, I think is the ongoing variable for contract management.
There's OSHA standards and max work hours. People, I just looking at the way this is divided in the proposed election minute. and add the consult as a person, I mean, which is great. I am hesitant to, if they're coming from Portland, which I just drove in from and I'm driving home to today. It's interesting to me that we pay for housing, we pay for their room and board and per diem. And so I'm just wondering if that's something that we always have done, and it just kind of spoke up, because it's a large portion of the task order.
We traditionally have done that in the past, because like Amanda was referencing, some of this work goes overnight or it's early in the morning versus later in the evening.
And I think safety is being
Totally,
taken
but it's, I
into
mean, you drive to
consideration.
work.
And
Some
I don't
people's
know
commute
if
is an hour.
And I don't know if everyone is coming from Portland. I know the engineers like Kevin and I talk to every day sit in Portland. But I do know there are folks in other locations that could very well wind up being a part of this.
Okay.
So is this a budget placeholder as a not to exceed, or this is?
This is a time and materials contract.
No, I'm saying for
Yeah.
the room. So
Yeah,
like
this isn't,
if
it's not a fixed fee or,
if they use it, then that's the cost, but
Exactly.
if they don't, it's not like we're intending to
Guar-
have a guarantee. Because Joe doesn't feel like driving home in the rain. That's not on us, but if there's a project that is required to be out there till midnight.
And port staff will be very involved in that process, overseeing HDR's involvement in the contractors. Just makes more sense to have them kind of managing this stuff from an engineering perspective, especially with some of the engineering that's required for the painting and the repairs, things like that. So I would not think that HDR would be on staff overnight if staff wasn't here with them to kind of judge the situation night by night by night.
I don't, that's why this came at my face, is the lodging's $275 per night. I mean, and yes, they adjusted it, but they probably wouldn't have put it out. And that is double GSA prices, and we're a government entity, so for them to.
It's also double what lodging costs here.
So these are just the things that kind of speak. $21,000 of a contract, just for me, we cannot ask our taxpayer dollars to be used on people not wanting to drive an hour to work, because that is a normal commute in other places. And HDR was well aware of where other places are. So I just wanted to, this is a very padded, in my opinion, budget for this task order. And yes, it's time and materials, but these are very high rates. And this makes me sad that we need good work, and good work is expensive, and you get what you pay for, but to have a budget line item where it's just kind of, maybe they won't catch it, just is sort of, to me, just a little bit.
Is that a per person?
Yeah.
Is that 275?
That's 70 nights.
that's the hotel rate, and GSA rate's 110.
Yeah, and I mean,
Nice.
I put people up here in hotels during the holidays, and it's around 110 to 130 a night, not 275. So
They did adjust their rates, correct? So
Yes, and so I did, after we talked, I did go back to HDR, and we're just going to amend the contract to align with the GSA rates.
But then they're also charging for miles, 1,950 miles too. So they're also, we just need to look at these and just kind of point these things out, because if they're also driving and they're also staying, I mean, that just makes me frustrated that's, you don't get both.
Right, I don't think that they're saying that they give it.
Okay.
It's just,
It's gotta be in the contract.
some days they'll drive back home, other days they'll stay here.
But I understand if that's a number that they've inflated 100% or 90%.
What other numbers are not? The GSA ones.
Well, they've been our owner's rep. We went through a master services agreement competitive process to select HDR. So at any point, if the commission wants to go back out, we could completely do another competitive process for owner's rep services.
I don't think, because that is a giant process, and I don't think that the relationship, I mean, I think that we have a really great trusting relationship with them. But I do think that it is, you know, when you are someone's rep for many, many years, people do get relaxed. And so maybe it is a good thing to remind everyone of, you know, let's do the highest and best.
I'm
Put
happy
forward.
with the amendment. So. With respect to the government rate.
Amended to match reimbursement rates with the
Yeah.
IRS
Yeah.
standards.
But I appreciate Commissioner Thomas's diligence here, because I think this is just a general sort of thing to keep our eye on. A lot of times we get locked into situations where we're just dealing with one entity in lots of different arenas of what the court does.
Chair, if you don't mind, can I make a motion to authorize the executive director to execute task order number 15, amendment 1? Is that correct?
That's right, yeah.
With HDR Engineering Incorporated, amount not to exceed, it's to be a new amount, correct? You state that amount, or?
Not to exceed $189,534.
What is that? That is the new amended amount with the new GSA rates?
No, it just won't exceed that.
Oh, got it. I make a recommendation as written.
Okay.
Yeah, second.
Okay.
And I thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, if there's no further discussion, who say aye?
Aye.
Aye. Great, thank you. Moving right along to informational reports, we have a monthly financial report.
Yes, and I don't have too much to add. I did want to point out that I have added an additional document at the end that's kind of a detail of the capital outlay that we have done for the year, because as I was looking through the financial statements, it occurred to me that we've done, I forget what I said, 3.4 million in capital outlay. And so it might be helpful to know what that encompasses, because given our history, we haven't typically done that much in 1 year. And this is only through March 31st, sorry, through March 31st. So I wanted to kind of outline what we've worked on so far this year, and we have more to come. So we'll be doing one of the things that's doesn't have a lot of money into it yet, but will by the time we're done with the fiscal year, are the airport hangars out at the airport. Those are going to have a significant additional amount of money added onto them to get those completed. And then there may be another property purchase. I have the one for the 200 Wasco Court in there. And then there's potentially another property purchase in there as well. So we have, which is, I mean, I know that's money going out the door, so that is always difficult for me. But on the other hand, it shows that we're getting things done around here too. And so there's been a lot of work done in the first 9 months of the fiscal year to get things moving forward, and to get some projects either well underway or complete. The 2 parking lots over on the waterfront were done earlier this fiscal year. And so I just wanted to point out that I have added that, and I will keep that up to date each month now for you, so you can see what things are getting done.
Thank you.
I have one question, and it doesn't even need to be answered right now, just something to ponder. We just talked about the painting and the bridge and all of that. And so I just want to make sure that your projections from before, you know, we have this money going into the bridge repair and replacement fund. And it's based upon calculations that you had on numbers of bridge crossings and bridge revenue and all of that. And I just want to make sure that we audit that from time to time to make sure that we're putting enough based upon what our actuals are.
Yes. So the way that actually is done now is that the bridge operations are it's all in one fund. So
Right.
the tolls are in there.
Yeah.
And so, I do keep track to make sure that we're going to be able
to take care of everything and that everything is looking good. We also do have some cash in there, several $1 million of cash to kind of tide us over if there are, years where our crossings are down. I think with the way gas prices are right now, I think we're going to see lower crossings because I think we're going to see fewer people driving for recreation purposes because they just can't afford it. And then probably more people working from home when they can and things like that, just to avoid a large amount of travel. So I have been anticipating that may be an issue this spring, that we're going to see lower number of crossings.
Thank you.
I have some questions.
Okay.
I guess where are your three, or just give me one big risk. When you look at this, what's your biggest risk right now?
Well, so each area probably has its own big risk. And again, the crossings are the big risk in the bridge fund. I don't know that at this point in the fiscal year that I have any big concerns in this fiscal year. A lot of what I think I just have to reiterate what I've said before, that a lot of our plans focus on grant funding that may or may not come through. I do think that if we don't get the replacement bridge built, that we have a huge issue, potential for a big issue with the existing bridge. I think that those are probably the biggest areas, partly because we don't have control over what happens necessarily to the bridge. So in other words, a truck can hit it and things can happen to the existing bridge that are outside of our control. And so that's probably my biggest concern, is about things that we don't have control over. But with most of the things like in the general fund, we have control over that. We have control over the amount of money that we spend maintaining the waterfront. We want to keep the waterfront looking nice. We want to do a good job with it. But if the economy, if we have a downturn and things aren't looking so good, there's always places where we can cut back on things like that. So I consider that under our control. So it's the things that are outside of our control that worry me.
So what I looked at is it's for the period ending March 31st, it's 75% of our fiscal year. And then I go right to the total, and it's for our total revenue, we're at 45%.
And that's because we had a number of property sales potential. We had the potential of selling the Big 7 building that was budgeted. Because last year at this time, there was discussion about selling Big 7. And so that's probably the biggest things. We had 11 million in grants, interest, and other income. And a large portion of that was indeed selling Big 7. And so that's the primary reason why we're at 45% for revenue.
Catherine, what I look at is the operating revenue, which is 77%. That's the number I'm looking at.
Right. Yeah. And again, that's more one, we have control over both to some extent, but the operating is the one that, as Kevin says, is more important for considering the health of the port.
Okay. Because the other ones are out of our control.
Yeah, or I suppose that we could have went ahead and sold Big 7 building, but I mean it's a bigger. I budgeted it both as being sold and not being sold because we didn't really know which direction the commission wanted to go last year at this time. And it's perfectly valid to say I don't know if I want to sell it yet or not.
Right.
And so. And as always, the questions come up later, let me know. It isn't like you never ask me questions.
We can move on now to our Director of Capital Development Planning, who's going to share an Anchorway parking lot possibility with us.
Thanks, commissioners. So this is a proposal to look at the new Anchorway parking lot. That is one of the 2 new parking lots built over this past winter. Anchorway presents sort of a different opportunity for use than perhaps our waterfront parking lots do and have in the past. And it presents an opportunity to consider long-term parking opportunities. So reserving a number of spaces within the lot to be able to, provide to businesses, be it in the waterfront area or downtown, to support parking. So this would be something new that we have not done in our other parking lots previously, but do see it as an opportunity to kind of leverage the location of the Anchorway parking lot, kind of being a midpoint between downtown area and the waterfront, and kind of capturing other business areas in the waterfront that are not immediately waterfront facing parking lots that are of highest demand, and an opportunity to seek some additional revenue from our parking program as well, just beyond the hourly and daily rates that we have to date. So this would be, we're proposing it as a pilot program because we don't know exactly what the demand will be for Anchorway, as it will be sort of in its first summer going forward, but do think that there is opportunity again to set aside a certain amount to do this, test it out for a year, see if this is workable, and then can kind of continue to track along the way to provide an evaluation to the commission at the end of the pilot program if it's something that is of desire to the commission. So really the question here and kind of point of discussion is this type of proposal something that the commission is interested in, and having staff then further explore this, including kind of doing a more detailed rate survey and just again understanding sort of what different regulatory changes we would need to make, particularly if overnight parking would be allowed, because right now under our Port Ordinance number 30, overnight parking is not allowed. So that would just be a formality, a formal change that we would need to make to that to allow this. So there's a number of things for us to explore if this is of interest to the commission. So I'll pause there to see if you have any questions or feedback. I may need to phone a friend with Daryl in the room as well, if there are any.
Save your voice.
One question, so it says partial. Have they expressed their desire of how much, what percentage of the lot they would like to, or is that?
Do you want me to dive in, Megan?
Yeah, go ahead, Daryl.
So they were looking at about 20 spots.
Okay.
So we're just not sure how much that lot will get used. But just in the preliminary research, you could charge premium prices for something like that. Any place, most municipalities, don't allow overnight parking. So this would be a little bit different. But we could charge pretty much at the highest end for that. And it might be a good way to pay the parking lot off quickly. So it could be an advantage to the port. And as long as lot one's not developed and there's still parking in lot one, then it works. But if we were to ever develop lot one, then there would be not so much parking available. So it might be tough to take it away. That would be the downside.
Could we research, like, locals don't pay for parking kind of thing? Where, like, can we, right, I know I'm going outside the other side of this, but I mean, nobody likes to pay tolls and nobody likes to pay for parking. And we are hitting people up with breeze by, and because we have to take care of this bridge and it costs money to make money, and I get it, but is there a way we could do this, Megan, in this pilot study that we probably will have you explore, that if you got a breeze bypass, you can take a spot? No overnight parking. I think that's silly. That's setting us up for potential failure, but like locals, this is a secret only locals know. Here's the parking for you from the port, 20 spots, it's half the lot, but if you got a breeze by, you don't need to pay. And I know it's outside the box, but are going up. Recreation is expensive. You got to drive there and now you got to pay for parking. And locals have paid a lot of money. And I just wish there's a way that we can reward. Is that part of the pilot you can potentially look into for us?
I want to make sure. Yeah, and Commissioner Thomas, I want to make sure I'm understanding your ask correctly. So for the local provision, are you saying specifically to spots that are reserved within Anchor Way?
It just seems that we are creating parking lots and you're talking about the most money we could possibly make. I get it. We have to do that because we're a business. We got to run this correct. I understand. But at the same time, it just seems we're not listening to our constituents who are saying, we've been paying for this toll. We have been paying for now parking. It costs money. Prices are going up. You know, is there any way that we as a community come together to make it more accessible for recreation, where you're not having to now factor in the cost of parking as well? It may be an unpopular opinion. I don't even want to look at anybody right now, but if there's a way,
I think it's
there's a way that we could ask for a pilot. Part of the pilot study could be like, you got a breeze bypass, so we're not going to ticket you first 20 spots, no overnight parking. We're trying to look into it. That's just a possibility of how much money we would lose, you know, that comparison. I'm just,
Yeah, I'd like to jump in just for a second, because we do have parking that is free.
yeah, where is that?
Daryl?
You gotta show it on a map.
Yeah.
Well, this is, city right here. That's all free. There are parking spots over here that are free. And then, the Marina Mortgage is free. And everything out here is free.
So,
And Daryl, don't forget the spit.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, and the spit, how could I forget that?
so
And that's free.
I would like to jump in on that, because I think as much as I agree that I would love to offer free parking for everyone, this proposal is the hotel wants to remove 20 spaces from the public, reserve them for themselves, and they would pay us for the use for their guests exclusively. I have mixed feelings because they developed a hotel. They asked for parking considerations. They got the parking considerations from the city, and now they are searching for parking. And so, but that's not their fault. They're responding to what we all knew was probably gonna be an issue.
There's a parking problem downtown.
There's a parking problem downtown, and so when you give up parking considerations, it doesn't help the parking problem. So my point would be, anytime you add a new facility, because it was an overlooked, something you drive by all the time, people don't see that it's there. If there are cars parking in it because of this hotel, it will get people to kind of look at it. I mean, I work down there every day, you know, when the Tesla lot went in, you start to notice, okay, there's some Teslas down there. So I don't have a horrible, because it's the first year. I agree that people are choosing different traffic destinations for gas prices in their summer times. Having a full lot or a semi-full lot kind of makes me feel like that is a good way to entice people to see this parking lot down there. I like that it's a one-year project. I wouldn't want to give them any indication that we are a community partner with them long-term. So that's where I would stand on that. For the other parking issue, that's a different conversation. But I agree that it's a good one to have, and I think that that's something that we can talk to at a later time, but for this specific one, that's.
Just add something to Commissioner Thomas's comments on that. In the preliminary looking at the rates and everything, our waterfront parking rates are really pretty conservative when compared to similar communities and waterfront destinations. Now, I get where you're going with the whole local thing, and I totally respect that. But just so you know, our parking rates for just the everyday parking, our passes, you know, the $125, you know, pass that you can get to park year round, they're still pretty good compared to other places. But again, reaching out to the community where you would want other options for them. I respect that.
Not to push back, Daryl, but gas is expensive. And so to drive there, if you're gonna drive there, you gotta pay for parking, even if it's $120 a year. I mean, if you're putting your budget together and you're on a fixed income or you have limited resources, I just think for limiting resources. I hear you, like the lot. Fun begets fun, like you see, like, oh, what do they do? Let's go look, like, let's go. Yes, I totally hear that. Is it possible we rent out the lot at the highest premium, most highest rate that we possibly can, which I believe is limited, right? To a certain amount.
This would be a little bit different.
It has to just be contracted with the hotel.
I mean, if you can, and then you say the rest of the spots are open for the community because the hotel's basically paying for it. Is there ways that we can work this? Because I do know constituents are livid about the parking, regardless of if it's low rates or if it's good rates. But I mean, you are creating a barrier to entry to recreation if you're charging for
I would say
parking.
those high costs are affecting our operational costs. You know, so,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
but
The other
yeah.
issue,
so where do we pull to pay for?
the other thing too is, you know, you mentioned that there is now paid parking behind the ferment building, behind the
It's all
Solstice
become paid.
building.
It's not free parking.
It's all paid parking, and the reason that they put the paid parking in wasn't because their lots were being maxed out. It was how their lots were being treated. The trash, the disregard for things, and so they chose to reinforce parking because it helped them to be able to say, you can't park here overnight, you can't park here. It gave them ability. And so the unfortunate thing too is, sometimes knowing that there's a cost to it, people tend to be a little bit more respectful. But I kind of love the idea of maybe the deal we make with the hotel is, hey, you get 20 spots, but you're paying for all 59. And I don't know. I mean, it could be a conversation.
So I'll just say where I am on this right now, so we can maybe find a way forward. Right now, I am in favor of staff trying to develop a limited pilot program like this to see how it goes, to see what it does. As a separate issue, which I personally would not want to tie to this, I am interested, I've always been interested in trying to find a way that works for locals to park free or super reduced. And when we instituted parking fees, that was one of my first questions, because I also have a lot of constituents that are like, hey, I come down, I do this, I patronize businesses, why do I have to pay parking?
Yeah.
I especially even have met people from Parkdale who were under the perception that the port is not even a public government, that it's some sort of special private club, and can we even park there? That's a concern, right? That's a concern. I want people to feel like they can come enjoy the waterfront in their own community. So as a separate issue, I would like to dig into what we can do in the world of parking for our local community.
So if we put that as a part of our waterfront
Strategic business plan?
not necessarily in it, but as a discussion, something that the committee might be tasked with.
I think because what you're talking about is something that's pretty broad reaching and might also really significantly impact our parking revenues. Because it does, because
I've asked for
users are local. And if we say, well, locals park free, then
one lot for 1 year, it's a pilot program and the hotel's gonna pay for it.
And we just paid $1.2 million to pave those 2 lots, and now you're talking about, anyway.
And our waterfront rec is
Just so you
costing us 500,000.
And Marina Green is
I
green
know.
because of irrigation. I am aware.
I know,
But
I know.
I'm telling you, the poor,
Oh, I know, we hear.
We could do an
We hear-
operating limit.
why can't we ask them? Maybe they'll be like, oh my
And I
God.
just had a big conversation about that to a lot of people. I was like, look, we're the one people that aren't asking people for more bonds and taxes, like. So we're about.
It's a
But
government
this-
service.
I know.
Yeah,
Is it possible, sir, for us to
It's possible.
direct staff to actually just ask the question? Let's shoot for the moon and just, it's a pilot program, we're creating it as we go, we're doing what governments don't like to do, is we're building the plane as while we're flying.
Yeah.
Terrible, but at the same time, let's just explore and ask them and see how much there is this parking lot work to do.
So maybe this is relevant. I don't feel like the, whether, how we choose to charge or not charge public parking is like the province of any particular hotel. Like, that's something that we would decide, right? So I feel like we should look into this and see what we think the revenue would be, and then we could separately, we internally to the port, could look at what's our projected income? What would our projected income be from that lot if we didn't have whatever deal gets ginned up? How do those compare? Does it put us in a position where we could do something like what you're talking about? Like, I agree with that. I would like to look at that, but I wouldn't want to tie it to any deal with the hotel. Does that make sense? Because what do they have to do with what we charge or don't charge for parking to the public? I just don't. Logically, I'm not seeing the connection, because if you go to the hotel, what are you asking them to do? Hey, we'd like you to subsidize public parking. I feel like that's a decision that we make.
No, we say the parking lot, we would know how much we expected to get for the 59
Right.
spaces for the year, and then we would double it, and that would be the number that we asked the hotel to pay for the year of 20 spot exclusivity. They're guaranteed parking in that lot for 20 spots,
Overnight.
and then but that's the deal.
But the
Good
deal with
is-
them has nothing to do with whatever we might offer the public. That's my point.
Yeah.
It's a separate thing. That's a separate decision that we would make internally, which I agree that we
Totally
should look at. I think that's great. I just don't think that's I think that's a separate issue from a potential arrangement with a commercial operator.
So I think we can all say that we're all in agreement that yes, we would like to explore
Yes.
a 1-year pilot program with this hotel operator. Not for
Yeah,
full exclusive, yeah.
so go for it, but then separately, let's take a look at what the projected revenue would be based on whatever looks good to all parties there.
And then have a conversation.
And then have that conversation about, well, what can we do? Maybe we can do something special with that lot.
Megan, do you know how much, or Daryl, maybe, I don't know, for anyone in the room who would be there? What is the projected income for that lot? Do we have that information for the year?
We've
Hard to
done-
say.
We've done a really preliminary rate analysis. And Daryl, I think you might have some of those numbers, but I feel like we need to do some additional due diligence on this before we can really answer that question.
I think it's hard because it anchors the furthest from the waterfront, so I don't think we know how that lot is really gonna be used. Is it gonna be used by people that are wanting to go up into town? Or,
Right.
you know,
I just think before we go, so we just got the lots and now we're saying, oh, almost half the spots,
A third.
a third of the spot, thank you, a third of the spots are now being used for a hotel, but we don't know how much we think we're gonna make. So we don't have negotiating power because we don't have.
we would have negotiation power over what the revenue we receive off of our highest lots,
Other lots.
our other lots.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say, is that when we first looked at adding more parking lots, we looked at all of our expenses, all the revenue, and figured out the net, and it came out to about net $800 per year per parking spot at the time. So, you know, it wasn't just done wasn't just done randomly. I mean,
Right.
there was actually some math done on the number of spaces in that year. Things change, the economy changes, gas goes up. But at one point in the last 2 or 3 years, it was about net 800, the positive net income per parking lot was about $800.
So that math would be about $16,000 is probably the amount that we would
So, yeah, that took into account vacancies. Right, so we knew the number of, there's about 1,200 parking spots. We did the net income and divided it over the parking spots. So that includes vacancy.
We're just exploring it. We're just.
That's
yeah,
correct.
Great.
I give a thumbs up for exploration.
Megan has it.
Yeah, Megan?
Yeah, and I just wanted to point out that while the hotel is one business that has asked about this, there's been inquiries from, you know,
That's a shame.
other local businesses. So I just want to note that the pilot program would be looking more generally at like what a rate would be to rent those spaces versus, you know, being assigned to a specific business at this point.
Fair.
I would like in that potential idea fairy stage that you're doing to consider the opportunity of how we could work in free spaces for locals, even if it's 5 spaces, even if it's got a breeze by, you can have. I think when we're doing this, because we are in the exploration phase, I think that should be a topic of discussion. So at least we can say we are exploring it, because I do think we are early stages. And, you know, this is how fun.
It's good.
1 year pilot, 1 year pilot.
Yep.
Free and paid and
Yep.
business reserved.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Daryl.
Thank you, commissioners.
Let's move on to the executive director report.
Before we do it, I did add on, we do have the RFD.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, absolutely.
Just
Let's
wanted
talk
to
about that.
kind of get your feedback as far as who would you like to be on the interview committee for the RFDI proposal.
I would like to be involved, and I think any commissioner that would be interested in being involved should be involved.
Does anyone have any conflicts? I guess that'd be my own thing. If anyone had any
Good-
conflicts.
good point.
And then that would be the.
I do not.
I do not. I think that my only thing is I welcome, but I do want us to be cognizant of the fact that if 3 commissioners are on it, then it is a public meeting. And that
I do not need to be on it.
changes
Good point.
things.
Good point. Yep.
Not that that's good or bad.
Yeah, it's just
A
a
reminder.
fact. Yeah. I know Commissioner Shepherd is very interested in being involved.
Yeah, and he did send.
I would say very is a understated word. Required.
I'm also interested in being involved with that. But I also
I'm very interested, but I'm happy to defer and just be kept. I don't need to sit in on the meetings, but and I do think all of us are gonna wanna be kept very in the loop.
yeah.
So I would offer myself as an alternate.
Yeah, the public meeting thing is significant, largely because it creates noticing requirements, and so on. I think, you know, we've heard from our community about what they like and don't like. At least we've heard some of our community, and so I know that we're invested in making sure that we get a solution there that is broadly acceptable and even liked, dare I say. But yeah, if Commissioner Gehring was like really hot under the collar to do it, I would also be happy to step back and defer and let her do it.
Only thing I told Ben, I said I'd pass his thoughts along to the commission.
Okay, what does he have to
So
share with?
he's got Ben himself, Christy, Amanda, and myself.
Mhm.
So for you, again, it's your.
Well, Christy, you do have more knowledge and experience with real estate than I do. which
So for public record, what are we talking, just to remind, we are talking about interviewing people who responded to the RFDI.
Negotiations too. And
Yeah.
Okay, so how many respond, are we all able to share this information? Okay.
that's what,
no.
this is just the evaluate, this is just the interview committee.
And we have not received any submittals at this time.
No, we have,
We
that's
have.
what we're gonna get into that in the executive session. This is specifically about, the interview committee needs to be done in public.
Yes,
But
Yeah.
not the details of the proposals and all that.
yeah. Okay, so.
So that, because that's why you can't, I mean, you can't have a public meeting if you're gonna be just, I mean, there's very, like, so there needs to be a clear why we're doing just two. And that is because it would be, you're asking potential proprietary information anyway. When
Right.
you're having interviews.
Yep.
So you can't.
So upon deeper reflection, I really feel, Christy, that you are the appropriate person. If you're willing,
I would be fine. with-
because you have a much deeper, greater acumen with regard to real estate development. That's really not my wheelhouse. And I don't have any, I mean, I trust you guys to be diligent, do a good job and us to stay informed. And we're gonna be part of the process at a different stage anyway.
I think it's a high enough piece of real estate. There's going to be a massive amount of interest and involvement in all of that.
Yeah,
I'm happy to,
are you happy doing it?
I'm fine with helping to weed through some of the details
Okay,
that
okay,
that I might have some, a little,
yeah. I'm excited about it,
I'm very excited.
but my excitement is not the greatest, because we're all excited about possibilities, so that's not really in itself much to recommend me for the direct involvement, so I'm gonna.
I don't want to get in any fights over it, but
I
I don't wanna-
It's not a fight. It's not a fight. Okay, so it's gonna be you and Ben.
okay,
Okay, that's great.
okay.
Excellent.
I'd say it could be you and me, but then who fights Ben? It's like, so.
Right. Okay, great. Anything else?
No, that's it. So just to confirm, so it's gonna be basically the internal real estate committee.
Correct. Which
And then-
is appropriate.
And then Amanda,
Mhm.
okay.
And there's no conflicts of the 4 people in the interview.
No,
As
we-
long as,
we'll do that.
I think that should be, I mean,
Yeah,
as long as,
yeah.
there's no reason why, yeah.
I mean,
there's no.
My
conflict.
husband has a business on the waterfront. We are a tenant of a building. That is the extent of it. but
And
it-
Commissioner Shepherd has no conflicts to be involved in the committee.
No, he
Great.
runs his business on the property that he owns and would have no,
Okay.
Super.
Yeah.
Okay,
Your
thank you.
report, sir.
Yes, so just a quick update on the EDA grant. So they are having their internal review committee tomorrow. And so,
We'll be there.
well, no, we won't be there.
No, but we'll be
They're in
We'll
spirit.
be in there.
in the
Yeah.
vicinity.
Yeah.
It's very,
They'll
very
be
promising.
thinking of us.
They've been asking for quite a bit of information over the last week. And so the fact that we're getting the opportunity to provide more information is a great sign. And then we're also getting ready for traveling to DC.
Yeah.
Megan, and myself and Commissioner Beaker are tomorrow. We've got handout. Yep, 1-page handouts on the waterfront recreational improvements along with the terminal building, and then also have some talking points for our friends at Freem who have some issues at the federal level as well. So we say we wanted to carry some water for them as well. So we're meeting with Dexter's office, we're meeting with Senator Merkley's office, Wyden's office, Bence's office, which is maybe a little bit of an outlier.
No, it's good.
But yeah, so it's great. We're using the state's Oregon business lobbying firm, Accelerate. And so they're doing all the scheduling for us. And we've got coffee. It's not 5:30 in the morning, it's 8:30 in the morning.
Thank you.
So they just need to correct the time difference. So it looks like it's everything starts at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
But should be good. We'll be in there for 1 full day, 2 nights, and back on Friday.
Tor, I'm really excited for you. You're gonna have fun.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting. You're gonna learn so much.
Yeah.
I learned so much. I thought it was amazing.
Who are you meeting with Dexter's office? Do you guys know the people yet? Or
With her,
you are meeting with Dexter?
Well, it's, I don't know if that's been confirmed.
it says in our notes that she'll be joining us, but
That's
Okay, that would be great. The fact that we've got an elected official increases the chances. That's why with Walden,
Mhm.
the fact that you were there makes all the difference. Let's see, anything else? We did cite 5 people, motorists, for illegal activity on the bridge during the welding project. People doing pretty precarious parent rounds mid-bridge span, and so,
5.
yeah, we had
That's
5.
5 more than I thought.
Really?
people.
Yeah,
Wow, what does the citation
People.
from the court look like?
if you look on page 156,
Do you? Right, no, I.
for those
The citation, what is the citation?
we start at 400 and then
400?
that was that's actually, we could go up as much as 2,000.
It's pretty dangerous. if
It's,
people are
that's not good.
really-
I'm not saying, I'm just saying, I mean, this is the reason the bridge might. Great.
The bridge is fine. That's not going to cause the harm to the bridge.
Really.
But what I would say is that
It's awesome
we are
It is
planning
awesome.
to do a presentation on the weld program in June. So I think there's some really interesting pictures and some methodologies that we're applying. We've got 2 different baselines on the areas that were not welded. We're actually going to study the changes in cracks over the course of 2 years and see how that compares with changes over the weld.
I know.
So
Pushing this
Exactly
for
what you
years.
want.
I have a question on that, just as a
Yeah.
fun thing. Is there a welding program at the community college? And do they know that this is gonna happen?
I don't know if there is or not. I know there's the workforce date on lot 1. Was that Thursday?
Yes.
So that's did I steal your thunder?
No.
There's a welding program at Dallas.
Like, I'm just curious,
There is.
that is such an amazing learning opportunity for an institution.
Get a bunch of college kids up there welding.
Oh my gosh,
Okay, cool.
With this, yeah.
That sounds super.
Or it employs students to get the welding done.
I would say,
They could go wrong.
I would say,
Nothing wrong. No idea, but like, kids get hit by cars, they.
but they could look at it and they could learn about all of the nuances of.
Directly at the lake.
I think what's best reserved for the professionals.
I meant
She wasn't
like
saying that.
looking at like, here's ways that welding is established in daily.
Affects your community.
It does affect your community.
Yeah.
So.
But it was great. Amanda did a wonderful job out there with Melissa. Tried to pass out candy when it was possible to try to alleviate some of the stress.
That's
But
great. People were awesome.
most people were great. So I don't know if you got anything you want to.
No, it was
Yeah.
great. Bulldog did a great job. There were some close calls. I think one of the shields got hit at one point by someone not paying attention and driving. We got some pretty good pictures that accurately show how close some of those semis were coming to our welders. That was a little intense. Most people, I would say 95% of people were kind and nice and waving. The other 5% could do better.
Do better.
We got closer to the end, Melissa and I handed out candy, which again, went very well for the people we could get to. But really our staff, our facilities team, the people on the bridge every day for, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for 2 weeks in a row. That was some hard work, but they did really well. We numbered the bridge from start to finish, going north, 605 crates in case anyone's wondering.
It was. Thank you.
Yeah, 605, with 17 sections inside the lift span not counted in the 605. And so a lot of information to gather from that information, but those numbers that Patty came up with will help us also track the maintenance that's occurring on the bridge. Like we've already replaced guardrail 108. And so we are going to start tracking that. right? So it's a lot easier to keep up with now that it exists. It'll be a really good way for us to track areas that are more impacted than others, grades getting hit, just wear and tear in sections versus just like an overall kind of idea of what's happening to the bridge on a daily or weekly basis. So great.
I do have a question about the lot 1 day.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would love to sing the praises of the port because are we charging the bridge authority to use that entire lot for the entire day?
No, we're also offering up some porta potties as well.
Thank you. I think that's a great opportunity for our community. And I know the goal of getting all the unions and the different construction organizations and the kids there is to help with the labor force and getting this new bridge built, but also for future enrollment and getting them aware. And there's also all tribal high school age children have also been invited. So I do expect the event to be outstanding. So just for full disclosure, I am intending to attend.
Great.
So
What time is it?
I was told to get there around 9 a.m. But their setup starts at 6:30 a.m. in case you were wanting to go and see it
Obviously.
at lot 1. Yeah, I was like, yeah, sorry, Mr. Fox. So thank you, Kevin, for all all this work.
Dan Marr's been great to work with. Yeah.
Other executive director report items?
I think that's it.
Commissioner and committee reports. I've got one. It's kind of fun and informational. Director Greenwood and I I guess we're on the committee now for the Rivermouth feasibility study,
the
Army Corps of Engineers. So I just wanted to share this because I think it's really cool to see the 30-year difference in what the mouth of our river looks like. This photo is from 1995. You will notice the Nichols Boat Basin actually has a construction facility and is open to the river. And that there is not really a delta of the Hood River. So a lot can happen in 30 years. And this Army Corps of Engineers feasibility study is looking at how to restore more native species habitat. It is a feasibility study. One potential outcome of the feasibility study when they look at the mouth of our river and up into here and what can be done is that they determine that there isn't anything that needs to be done or is worth doing or can affordably be, the cost benefit isn't there. We don't know what the outcome of that will be. The primary agents involved in that are the Warm Springs, Confederation of Tribes and Army Corps of Engineers. We as the port are kind of a co-sponsor because we own the land underneath everything. But we are not at this time financially involved, although I wouldn't guarantee that they won't come to us with a hand in hand at some point in the future. But they're going to be using drones and other technology to do temperature scans of Nichols Basin, the river. Really cool stuff, actually. And then the feasibility study is going to last a couple of years, 3 years. And they're going to see if anything makes sense for improving the habitat for native species, which would include salmon, steelhead, and lamprey, and maybe some other species. I don't know. Yeah, so that was a very interesting meeting. We got to sit here with a group of really smart fish biologists. Yeah, we'll see where that goes over the next 3 years.
Shout out to Cindy Eamon, who's the executive director of the Hood River Watershed.
Yep.
Is also involved.
Yep.
Was any topics of like alterations to our property discussed, like dredging or?
There certainly was some discussion about some possible or potential kinds of changes that might result from the feasibility study.
Can you just name just a couple?
So one of those, is the possibility of reducing the size of Nichols Basin and having the river have some more curves, and some more little waterways and things like that, and potentially having some kind of a nature path through here. That was one possibility, that was mentioned. But I think, they don't really know until they get an idea of what the conditions are really like, 'cause they haven't done very detailed studies of either the temperature or the fish population. So that's part of what this feasibility study is all about. So I just want to put that on everybody's radar. I thought it was very interesting, and that we as a board are able to participate in a positive way.
I would like to credit staff. I went through two separate time groupings of review of the airport proposals, and just wanted to credit staff and the discussion that occurred and the thoughtfulness that went into the review, because it took, I think one of the reviewers said double what he thought plus 4 hours, right? Like there was a lot of time that went into it. So I do appreciate all the work that staff has done to make that credible, because that was work over the weekend, I know. And so that was something that I really appreciated.
All right, I would also like to point out that we have a regular session. The next regular session will be on June 16th. And the following months, July 21st and August 18th. And with that, this regular meeting is adjourned.